Hello, everybody, and welcome to G2 Kappa. Get to know a person already in today's society. Everybody, you're going out, you're in line, you're looking down at the phone, you're traveling around, and you're always trying to break off that conversation, break off that community, that sense of community we used to have. And I feel like we need to have those conversations. We need to be meeting the people around us. We need to get to know a person already. Today, I'm going to be interviewing my friend Sid, who I actually know pretty well already, but you know what? I'm really excited to do a deep dive. Sid, we've known each other for probably like 3, 4 years now. And I'm
Yeah.
really excited to have a chance to kind of talk to you on a more personal level. So when you and I met, of course, we met through TikTok, through the pro wrestling community, and doing some stuff like that. What got you on TikTok? What made you want to create content on TikTok?
Well, first of all, Hugs, thanks for the opportunity for having me on here. I've actually been wanting to do this for a while now, but for me, honestly, it was COVID and I was bored as hell in my house and not gonna lie, I actually had just lost my job at that point. I had gotten laid off. So, I was like, there's something to do and everyone was on TikTok, everyone and their mother. I was like, all right, let me see what the hell this is all about. And so I downloaded it and then it started with a lot of the content from the wrestling community. Specifically, if I can shout one person out, shout outs to Heel Kevin. He was the kind of the person who inspired me to start doing more content like that. And then obviously I found the community that you were kind of a part of, and yeah, you had created essentially, and I just joined there, and I guess the rest is history. And I mean, I've always delved into content creation, but I never really did it consistently just because of different things. Life happens, all that good stuff. But I feel like with being a part of the community that we were a part of, it kind of forced me to get out of my shell a little bit and start turning on the camera, whether I felt like it or not. So yeah, I mean that's kind of how I really got into it. I just thought it was fun. I thought it was interesting, and just wanted to just trying to do something creative while I was in between jobs.
Well, because like what we are doing in the wrestling community is more of like an improvisational, like
Yeah,
creative outlet. But I do remember you doing a lot of like duets and things like that back in the day with like music. I do remember
yeah,
one specific content creator that I felt like there was a lot of videos
yeah,
in
yeah,
reference
yeah,
to.
yeah.
So was that before the wrestling community? Was that after,
Oh,
during? Like, what was the?
it was before. It was definitely before. I was bored because so my TikTok name, of course, right now is like Sid Matrix because that was my name in the wrestling community. But before that, it was I am not the singer. So because my full name is Sid Sriram, and there's a singer with my name,
Oh, okay.
so I said I'm not the singer. So and because I've had people ask me, "Hey, do you sing?" I'm like, I mean, in the shower, I guess, or whatever. But so I just wanted to make sure that distinction. I know it's not that Sid sure I'm different, but yeah, I mean, yeah, that was that content creator. They've she and I actually were good friends. She does have a partner, but we've become friends through TikTok and whatnot. She actually made me like one of her mods for her TikTok lives and stuff like that. So yeah, I
Does
mean
she still
that
make
again.
content?
That was
I
just something
haven't
I
seen.
wanted. Yeah,
I said, does she still make content? Like, is she still actively like?
yeah. She is like she kind of got back into it. She was also life happened, and then she came back and she kind of started doing it a little bit more.
I feel like a lot of people went through that timeline of like it's COVID, everybody got on TikTok, everybody was just kind of figuring
Yeah,
it out, everybody was making videos, and then as the world came back together, and people got back into their normal rhythm, like they kind of fell off of doing that, and
yeah,
it
yeah.
became
Just not
more of
as
a an intermittent thing, you know.
yeah, pretty much. They're not as consistent because oh, the world's back on. Time to get back to work. Time to get back to doing whatever you got to do, and I don't have time for this TikTok thing anymore.
Is that something that you really wanted to pursue prior to getting on TikTok? Like, had you thought about wanting to get in? Like, I know I want to reference not only our time in the wrestling community, your time on TikTok, but I want to reference the Nerdy Mark.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we get into that content you were making and what you were doing and what were your goals with that?
Yeah, I actually, ironically, that also was started in 2018. I also again had lost my job and again looking for creative outlet. And I did want to do pursue content creation full time, and but I feel like I had also kind of lost a lot of passion just because I was too focused on that. I was too focused on the money making side of it when I wasn't really like creating content that I liked, that I cared for. I was like, okay, I'm gonna just do like I actually did even there. I was doing more wrestling content, believe it or not. So because I started with like reviews of Raw and SmackDown, then I went into NXT, then AEW came around. I went into that. Um, so yeah, but like I kind of just, but after some time, I just was like, I don't feel like putting on the camera, editing, uploading. I just don't want to do it anymore. But again, that's because my mind was so much. Oh, I gotta get monetized. I gotta make that money. I gotta get a check from YouTube or whatever. And when it wasn't, I feel like talking about this today and not worrying whether someone is watching it. I mean, yeah, I'm sure I want someone to watch, but more so I want people to see what I really am. And in a way, I kind of felt like I was putting on an act as the nerdy mark, and I just kind of didn't want to do that anymore. So, but I still definitely, nerdy mark's still there. I still want to pursue that. I do want to make content. Like I might start changing it up a bit over there. I don't have any. I have a couple of plans, but I haven't really done anything um, concrete with it yet. But that's definitely something in the pipeline.
So let's get into this more then. Okay. And I really resonate with a lot of things you're saying
Sure.
because one, I've been a content creator forever. Like since YouTube, long before I ever made money, I
Hmm.
made dumb YouTube videos about my life for like a decade before I ever made a dollar.
Right.
It took me like 10 years to make $14, and then it became
Jeez.
the job that I've made the most money in a single year that I ever have in like two jobs combined. Um,
Wow.
so, but I feel like the people that get into it and they're doing it because they enjoy it and they're doing it just, for the love of the game, for a better turn of phrase, but like that is how it becomes successful. So I want to ask you, who is Sid? What we've talked about the nerdy mark, we've talked about wrestling, but what are you truly passionate about? Like, what do you want to make content about? If it didn't have to be wrestling, or if you had the option of doing anything about any genre, what really gets you motivated? What would you do for the love of the game?
I want to finally make content where tomorrow I made someone's day. Like I want to add value to people. That's actually I had started doing this. I had started doing a thing called Mental Health Mondays, which then I changed it over to Mental Health Musings because I didn't always do it on a Monday. Because I wanted to have a corner for mental health. That's something that I had become passionate about since 2019 when that's when I started seeing a therapist and stuff like that. But yeah, like because mental health is very important to me, especially for South Asian. I'm originally, in case you couldn't tell, originally I'm from India, and in the South Asian community, mental health isn't really talked about that much. Now it's getting better, admittedly, but back then it wasn't as much talked about. And I wanted to be a South Asian content creator who says, "Hey, look, I want to talk about mental health. I want to have an open discussion, and I wanted to have a corner where people felt safe to talk about their problems." And that's kind of the content I want to. That's what I want my content to do. Is tomorrow, I want if I helped just one person with because they watched the video, they whatever they're going through, they watched one of my videos and they said, "Hey, man, that really helped me." I did my job. That's what I want to do at the end of the day is add value to someone. That's all I care about.
Okay. So then let me ask this. Are you ready to do that?
I feel like I am like I'm not. Here's the thing. I'm always a constant work in progress, but I feel
As we
like
all are.
yes, but I think that in a way goes to my benefit because like you said, as we all are, I feel like if people see me in my journey, people will be kind of resonate with it more than someone who's already like at the top, so to speak, and says, "Oh, hey, look, I'm here, and let me show you what I did to get there." Instead of that, I can be like, "Hey, I'm right there with you. I'm just documenting my journey." So I feel like if I hope people get motivated seeing that as they, and then they don't, maybe they don't have to turn on the camera, but I want them to get encouraged to take care of themselves a little bit better.
I love that. I think that's a great passion to have. I think that's a really like
Yeah.
noble pursuit to go after, because mental health, especially as you're saying in your community, but I feel like it's just there's a lot of parts of the country and parts of the world that there's kind of a stigma to it, even the idea
Yeah.
of having going to therapy. Like I know I'm from Chicago, of course, but I did live in the South for roughly a decade, living in rural Texas, and then I lived in Austin, Louisiana. Definitely a different vibe to how people would perceive mental health, as you would know, also being a Texan.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
little bit different. Whereas,
A little bit.
like, Chicago, it's a much more liberal area. People, that's much more commonplace here
Yeah.
to go through therapy.
Although
Um,
I will say the DFW area, which is where I live, it's a little bit more progressive than like when you go out into the country. They're a little bit more receptive to something like that.
so initially, when I moved down, I lived about 30 minutes outside of Waco in a town of 700 people.
Yeah.
Not very perceptive. But then I lived in Austin, which is
Yeah.
like the most liberal
Austin's
place.
yeah.
And
Yeah, I like to say Austin is the California of Texas,
yeah,
and then
I
Bakersfield is like the Texas of California.
I always tell people, like, when I'm trying to explain how Austin was compared to everywhere else, I feel very much like it's Portland. It's like the Portland vibe. It's like
Yeah,
very
I feel
hipster, very
that.
like, but I did love Texas, and this is one thing I want to talk about, just having lived there for so long, and you understanding that. One thing that I truly loved about Texas is that attitude of like, if you're in Texas, you're a Texan. It's all about being a Texan. You have that pride for your,
Yeah,
your state. Like here, around Chicago, people love being from Chicago. You rep Chicago. If you live within 2+ hours of Chicago, you rep Chicago.
yeah,
Nobody's out here repping Illinois. But if you
right.
go to Texas, you go to a Walmart, an HEB, anywhere, there's just
Just
Texas
Texas,
merch.
yeah, yeah, just
Bucky's.
Texas. Bucky's,
Like,
yeah, dude. I do not go to Bucky's enough. I've been there. I've been inside. Like here's the legit. I need to go inside just to use the restroom, but it's
mhm.
so easy to get lost in
Oh yeah,
there.
it's easy to get lost in the restroom. They got the biggest
Restroom
restroom.
too, yeah. It's like shit. Where's the toilet, man?
Yeah.
I need to take a piss. What's all
I
this?
I lived about 20 minutes outside of Austin. I lived in San Marcos. Shout out Texas
Mhm.
State. Eat 'em up
Nice.
Bobcats. But I lived very close to the really really big Bucky's out of New Braunfels, so
Oh
that
wow.
was like a really cool part of Texas for me. I felt like that was like a big part of the experience. Do you have any Bucky's merch? Have you been in that? Like, have you ever got the shirts? Are you into like
No.
the Beaver Nuggets or anything?
I haven't gotten the merch. The only thing that I've ever had is because my sister, she for a school field trip, went to San Antonio to some museum or whatever, and they stopped at Bucky's, and she bought like a bunch of fudge from the Bucky's, and so we all ate them. I've got like she hate. By the way, I love my sister, but the fact that she hates peanut butter, that's still kind of I don't know. I'm like, come on, man.
Can't trust somebody. Can't trust somebody that doesn't
Yeah.
like peanut butter. Oh, you may love them, but you're always gonna be like, you
Yeah.
know.
No, it's weird because she like tried it when she was like 12, and she's like, "Oh, I hated it." And then later on, the other day, I was like, "Why don't you try some now? It's been so many years." And she tried it. She's like, "Oh, this is gross." I'm like, "Okay, fine." She's just never gonna like peanut butter. But no, she brought like a whole crap ton of like fudge and everything, and so it was good. It was really really sweet. That's one thing. It was good, but it was really sweet.
That is one of the things, and I love this about a lot of places in Texas. I feel like there's a very like I don't want to say like boutique culture, but it's very like their own brands. Like when I would go to
Oh
HEB,
yeah,
HEB brands are the best.
yeah. HEB.
When you go to Bucky, like their brand is the best stuff. Like it's not like you have to go get name brand whatever.
No,
The like store brand is name brand everywhere you go. What
Braum.
is like
Bra-
Brahms ice cream? That's what he's
Oof.
talking about. If you go to Brahms, it's phenomenal. So that's what I was gonna ask. What are your like local things that you have to get? Like what? So Brahms would be one of them. What other things are you into that might be like more regional to your area?
Ooh, that's a good one. Jesus. Well, so talking about Brahms, definitely the anytime they you have two for $6 for a pint of ice cream, we usually get in two of those pints of ice creams. I'm a huge. That's my kryptonite, by the way. I love ice cream. You know,
Now, I think offhand, you're vegetarian, correct?
I am. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was gonna say because Brahms notoriously known for like steak fingers or something, right? But I'm like, I'm pretty sure that you're vegetarian. So what is that? Just as someone that is like a fat American, I
Hey,
don't,
hey, come on, man. You lost
bacon and
weight.
ham.
You lost a
Well,
shit ton of weight, though.
I
I'll give you
lost a
that.
lot of weight. I've lost like a human's worth of weight.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious, like, what is that like navigating? Like, in that, just as someone that doesn't understand that experience, what is it like navigating like fast food, or especially living in Texas? When I think Texas, I think
Yeah.
barbecue. I think,
Well, it's one thing is in the barbecue places. Yeah, obviously I can't have like a brisket sandwich or whatever, but I just look at like what sides they have and I just order a bunch of those. If should I ever go to a barbecue place, I'll just say, all right, look, give me some fries, give me the mac and cheese, and cornbread. I like cornbread. Okay, I do like cornbread. That
are you
is
a
again,
sweet cornbread guy, or are you like a savory cornbread guy?
I like a little bit sweeter. The cornbreads that I've had, they've been like they've had a sweetness to it, but it's not too sweet. You
I
know,
get you.
too sweet. Anyway,
I get you.
but that's something I do with my sister because she also watches wrestling. So if something's too sweet, we'll be like, "Hey, is it good?" Yeah, but it's you know,
Yeah,
uh,
throw it up.
yeah,
I
we
get
throw it
you.
up. We throw it up. Anyway, no.
How old is your sister? What's the age difference between you?
We are 12 years apart.
Oh wow. So she's younger then or older?
She's younger.
Younger. Okay.
Yeah,
So is that your only sibling?
yeah. She's my only sister. Yeah.
Okay. So that's gotta be cool. Being a big brother, that's like a huge, rite of passage type thing.
Yeah, definitely it is. But
Uh,
we definitely behave more like friends,
yeah.
where we do annoy each other, and but we still love each other a lot. So,
Are you guys into like a lot of similar things? Like I guess the wrestling, of course. Is there anything else? Like, do you guys have similar taste in music or
yeah, we listen to similar music in the car. Um, we do watch we watch like Indian film and American films. We watch movies together. Uh, yeah, I mean she started getting into the mental health stuff herself because she has her own story, but she's big on doing stuff like meditation, exercise. Like I do. You probably can't tell, but I do go to the gym and everything.
you
And
look jacked? Like people
oh,
might
thank
not be able to tell, but I can definitely tell.
you.
You I ain't gonna
Appreciate
mess with you in an alley, okay?
it. It's all no.
I get you.
Yeah, I
What do
appreciate it.
you so you listen to music in the car. What are you listening to? That's what I want to know. What do we
So I listen to. So my music taste has changed throughout the years. Okay, like when I was in high school, I was a big hip hop head. Like I
okay.
loved hip hop. I still do. Don't get me wrong.
But like
Um,
who? I need hip hop's so vague. Who?
yeah,
Who we listening to?
I loved. I love. I mean, of course, I love the old school stuff like Biggie Smalls, Tupac. Rest in peace to both. Um, Chino XL, rest in peace. Holy shit, he passed away in July.
That's like probably a pretty niche call out, but
Yeah,
definitely
Chino
shout
XL.
out,
Yeah,
big ups. Okay.
yeah. Chino XL. Bone Thugs and Harmony was another one that I loved. But obviously, more recent stuff. Oh yeah, I mean, you got your Eminems and all these guys too. I do bump Kendrick.
Okay.
I love me some Kendrick. Drizzy he was okay. I liked him. Take Care Drake was prime Drake for me.
Oh,
That
for
was
sure.
that was my favorite era of Drake, and then after that, he's just doing everything that everybody else is doing, and I'm just like, eh.
Kendrick put it the best. Like he likes Drake with the melodies.
Yep,
You know, like
yep,
that's what we love. When,
yep.
I'm not gonna be the dude to be like, oh, I hate Drake. I love Drake. I love Drake
I
when
did
he's
like,
doing what he does best. I just
yeah,
don't like some of the
just
other
sing, dude.
things.
Just sing. Just don't rap anymore. Just sing. But now
So
it's
what
changed.
else? Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah,
what else you
now it
got?
has changed. I like a lot of like electronic music, instrumental music. I enjoy a genre called synthwave, which is like
Okay,
very 80s inspired kind
love
of
it.
music.
Yeah.
That's the stuff I love to listen to now.
Okay.
If you go on, if on TikTok, I know they use a lot of a sound a lot. There's a song called Memory Reboot.
Okay.
That's honestly, like when I listen to it, it's only instrumental, but I'm just like, this is like my theme song, man. Like my theme song, not like theme song as in if I was a wrestler. Like
Yeah.
no theme song when I like just to life.
To
Like when I
life. Yeah.
yeah, like if I walk into a room, they cranking that shit all the way up. So you
Have
know,
you ever listened to Kavinsky? Do you know who that is? He's
oh yeah,
like,
oh yeah,
yeah,
I
because
love that.
I'm on that wave, bro. I get you. Like
That's how I got into it. Yeah,
yeah,
Kavinsky,
because what is it? It's like Night Drive or something. I
Night
forget what it's
Call.
called. Yeah, there you go. I was like, that was the one that got me at first. I was like, I used to kick that on like 2 in the morning. It's like
Oh
dark and I'm driving. I'm like, oh,
hell
I'm
yeah.
about to break the law.
Matter, matter of fact, if you see, there's a movie called Drive with Ryan Gosling.
I've heard of
They
it.
in the so the first 5 minutes of that movie, like when the titles play, that song plays,
Hmm,
and it's awesome. They use a lot of
very
like
cool.
80s inspired music in that movie too. So
Something about it, something I just feel like you're into Taylor Swift. Like I feel like you would be a Tay fan. I don't know why. I just feel like just because
nah,
you're carefree, you want to live life and like
nah. I mean, she's cool, but I'm not going out looking for her songs. Like
I'm just
you,
trying to get you attacked by all the Swifties. So
no. Nah, nah, I'm not a Taylor. I'm not as big on Taylor Swift. I like The Weeknd. That's my jam.
hmm,
The
I
Weeknd
was
is.
a big Weekend fan.
I used to, I used to actually not like him that much, and then I started listening to some of his other songs. And I was like, oh, he's actually pretty good. You know?
So like more his deep cut stuff than like what's on the radio, or just
Yeah.
other songs that you hadn't really heard before.
Well, so the first time I heard The Weeknd was actually on Take Care. He did that
Okay.
song "Crew Love," and
Yeah.
I don't know, like now going back and listening to it, I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. But back then, I was like, I don't know about this Weekend dude, man. What the hell? What was this guy doing? Anyway, um, but then I heard the song often, that song, and
Yeah.
I was like, dude, this is good. I was like, Sid, what are you talking about, dude? This guy's good. And then I started listening to a lot of his discography. Um, Kissland, his album, it's one of his most underrated albums in my humble opinion. He I don't know, man. The thing I loved about him is in general is his music always has like an underlying story, like his albums, like especially with his last two albums that he did, After Hours and Dawn FM. They're all connected, and then now he's dropping one more, which is like his final album as The Weekend, and I guess he's gonna go by Abel now. So
Like his real, that's like his real first name
that's
or
his real
whatever, right?
name. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I mean, you really seem up on game. You seem really passionate about this. Did you were you ever in music? I know you're not the singer, but
Right.
were you ever, did you play any instruments? Were you ever into like band or anything? Were you ever in choir or stuff like that in school?
I'm gonna shoot myself in the foot saying this, aren't I? I learned. I actually learned Indian classical music when I was younger,
Okay.
so I have some good base knowledge of music. I come from like a musical family. Like my
Okay.
family, yeah, like my mom sings. She's actually given like concerts and stuff here in Texas.
Oh, wow.
Um, my dad taught himself. My dad sings too, but he also taught himself to play the keyboard, the piano. Actually, not even the keyboard, the
Okay.
piano. So my sister also sings. Um, I sing, but I also am like we have a professional singer at home. I'm gonna let my mom do that.
Yeah.
Do it.
Let her handle the heavy lifting.
Yeah, exactly. I'll do some background vocals if you want, mom, but that's it.
So, now it's been a little bit ago, but somewhat recently, mixing both Indian culture and hip hop specifically, that Big Steppa song, you know what I'm talking
Big
about? That was
dog.
all over, yeah, Big Dogs. Like that was like such a huge thing. And I saw so many, uh, you know, creators that really saw something that they could identify with finally, that it was like, wow, this is something that's representative of me and my culture and something
Yeah,
I can really attach to. Did you have any kind of feeling for that, or do you like were you into the song, or you?
yeah. It's a dope song. I like it, especially because he has a line on there that it's like top notch hoes get the most, not the lesser. That's a
Yeah.
Pimp C reference, and I was like, my boy did what? Hell yeah! He's brown and he knows the Dirty South reference, dude. That's what's up, you know. So yeah, again, rest in peace, Pimp C. But yeah,
Yeah.
like I was like, holy shit! So that was cool. I loved. I do like that song. I don't play it all the time, but I do. When I listen to it, I'm not like, oh, turn this shit off. First of all, I wouldn't.
No.
That's a brown brother, and he's made it up there. So big
Well,
up to Hanuman Kind. That's his name. So
yeah, well, because I was gonna say, even if it's something that's not like 100% that you're into, it's just cool getting that representation. Like, I
oh
think
yeah,
it's cool, like sometimes because you don't see a lot of like Indian rappers and like
no,
commonplace, pop culture. It's just not something you see. The
no.
only other time I've seen probably any like South Asian rap combination was like Jay Z, Punjabi MC, where he like leaned into that song. Like I don't know if you remember that. It's like
Interesting.
I don't remember what it is. Somebody will find it and
I
put it in
know
the comments.
Jay
Punjabi
Sean
MC though.
definitely. Jay
Uh,
Sean was there for a while.
yeah,
He
but
was
that's what I'm saying.
yeah,
But it's we're having to say like for a little bit it was this one guy. So it's always cool when you have that representation in the field for
yeah,
something you're passionate.
yeah.
So we've talked a lot about music. Now I know you have talked about film as well. So I'd like to just touch on that pretty quick before we get into our lightning round. But I'm very interested in to see what your interests are in both American film and foreign film, and anything you want to kind of talk about that you're just interested in. What gets you going?
So I'm a huge fan of action. I love action movies. Anytime I can watch some dude kicking a bunch of dudes' asses, I watch it. I was of course big on like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone. Those are like they were like absolute icons. I think I saw a Chuck Norris movie the other day. It was like I think, and it came out I think after like Indiana Jones. So I feel like Chuck Norris. It's called The Firewalker by
Okay,
and it kind of sucks because Chuck Norris only has his mustache. He doesn't have his beard, but whatever.
not as
Um,
iconic.
yeah, it's a little disappointing, but I could definitely tell that they were trying to capitalize on the success of Indiana Jones. So it was cool. Like it was cool seeing him do his kung fu stuff. But I'm like, okay, this is just Indiana Jones with martial arts. But like
That
watching him now,
sounds dope.
it is dope. It is dope. But also it's like I've seen this. Why didn't you just
I
put
get
him
you.
in Indiana Jones? Well,
I feel that.
I mean, I get it. But anyway, no. Like as far as American film, yeah, those were some movies that I really liked. I did get into the superhero genre now for a bit. Definitely for me, that hype has died down significantly since after COVID, and like I think after Infinity War, no, not Infinity War, Endgame. I just there was Marvel especially. I'm sorry to say it's been pretty hit and miss. I know that I still haven't watched the Deadpool and Wolverine movie. I gotta watch it. I heard it was really good, so I'll definitely check that out. But
I feel
yeah,
like it got oversaturated. That's what it is. There was so much of it, and it can't all be a 10. Not everything can be S
yeah,
plus tier.
right, right. Funny thing is, one of my last videos that I did on Nerdy Mark was a whole tier list of Marvel Phase 1 through 4, including the Netflix shows and some of the other like specials that they had on Disney Plus. So that was a fun time. But yeah, um, yeah. But I liked. I definitely enjoy like I said, watching action movies, action like shows with some sort of like maybe some mystery. I actually one of the shows I really liked. Me and my family we watch it. It's called Monk. I love
Oh
Monk.
yeah,
Monk was great.
yeah. Tony Shalhoub.
Tony Shalhoub, yeah, it was
Yeah,
great. It
love
was
it.
great.
Shout out to him. He'll never
Yeah,
see this, but
yeah. Hey, you never know, man. Just
hey man, still shout out to him,
yeah.
man. You
just
know,
just be on it, get in his DMs like, hey, watch this
yeah.
episode.
Great show though. Great show.
Yeah,
I'm
great
on
show.
that bandwagon. What so I know we had talked about this kind of separately aside. What about like pan Indian films, stuff
Yeah.
like that? Like what else are you into that maybe the core audience that you deal with on TikTok may not know? Like what can you open some eyes to?
Well, so the Pan Indian craze has kind of picked up more recently. It started, I think, in 2018 or 19 with a movie called Bahubali, which is like a historical fiction film. It came out in two parts. That's been another thing that's happened now with all these pan Indian films. Like they film it all in like well, not all of them, but a couple of them they'll film it in like two parts or whatnot. But yeah, Bahubali was a good movie. It was an interesting film. Like it's very like grandiose kind of a movie. So because that movie, so the thing is, why it's called Pan Indian is because it gets released in multiple languages in the same day. So like even if it's like for example, if it's a Hindi film, they'll immediately dub it in like regional languages like Telugu and Tamil and Kannada and Malayalam, and they'll put it all out. They'll even release it here in the states in all those languages, so you can watch them the same day in all those languages.
Oh wow.
So yeah, so it's been good, but I'm not gonna lie, like the whole Pan Indian thing has kind of been there since like the '90s. A lot of movies they dubbed in multiple languages and they put it out at the same time. They used to do it at that time. They didn't call it Pan Indian films like they do now. It wasn't as much talked about, but now it's like more like Pan Indian movie. So I mean, I just say it because that's like the popular
The
term for it.
buzzword,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
buzz phrase.
Yeah, hey, I gotta
Um,
get my buzz phrase. I gotta get my content stuff and the SEO, man. And
so my question would be and it could be potentially the movie you just recommended,
yeah.
but if I were to want to really kind of open my eyes to this genre of film, um, and to kind of just get the best feel for it, what would you recommend I start with?
I mean, so Bahubali is definitely a good place. It's like a more kind of a grand, like I said, it's a grand kind of a film. There's also RRR, which is also kind of similar, but it also has like it's also historical fiction, but it kind of takes place during like the time when the British had taken over India. Those are some like more kind of mainstream films, but other films that I really liked, one that I actually did again review on my channel, is called 12th Fail. It's actually a true story about a man who wants to become an officer in the Indian police force, and he comes from a village of bandits. But he's like, I want to do, I want to, actually help my village by, being, in this, in the police academy and passing the exams and coming here and essentially cleaning up my city and helping others do that. So that was a good movie, and it's not like because I think now pan Indian movies the trend now is just like make it as violent as possible. Okay, like the more blood the better. It's like Quentin Tarantino. Maybe Quentin Tarantino can direct a pan Indian film maybe one day. I don't know.
That makes me think of like some of like what is it? It's like Old Boy or whatever, like the South
Yeah, kind
Korean
of old boy.
movies where it's just like ridiculously gory. Like
Yeah,
yeah.
the only thing I'm sorry, maybe an unpopular opinion, but the only thing I liked about Old Boy is that hallway fight scene. I didn't
Okay.
care for the movie. I watched it and I was pretty disturbed. I was like, oh,
I was gonna say like that there's a lot of genres that are very niche, and if you
yeah,
love it, you love it, and if it's not your thing, you probably hate it. That's
yeah.
typically there's a lot of horror like that too. But it's like
If you haven't seen Old Boy, just know there's a lot of incest. So if you're uncomfortable with that, I would stay away. You know.
I'm uncomfortable with most things. Okay, so we're gonna we're gonna segue here,
Okay.
and I'm very excited. I love hearing this because like I feel like as we've gotten a chance to talk more, you're really opening up. I love seeing the side of you. So I'm
Thanks.
gonna kind of segue into some questions that I feel
Sure.
like are a little, I guess, just not the norm to kind
Okay.
of force you into giving me some answers to understand you a little better.
Okay.
So, one, we talked about the superhero scene, right? So, this is stereotypical. If you had a superpower, if you were a superhero, what superpower would you pick?
Teleportation.
Teleportation? Okay. Do you have a reason why?
Well, because I just think it would be a lot more practical. Because if I gotta be somewhere at a certain time, I can just get dressed and then just teleport where I need to go. I think it's one of the most practical superpowers. I mean, flight's cool, strength's cool, laser vision is nice, but when you really think about it, especially in big cities, like for example, New York, you got to take the subway. Like, are you kidding me? Can you imagine how much time you would save if you could just teleport to your office instead of, taking the subway and, and going through all that song and dance. So yeah,
Yeah, because
teleportation.
I mean, you got to take public transit to go 2 miles in Chicago.
Exactly. So,
Uh, it's bad. It's hard like that.
mhm.
Okay. But I love that. I love that you give a practical answer. I love that you were logical. It's those things that kind of give that insight that I love to see and I love to learn about people. If you could be a museum curator, you're opening Sid's Museum.
Okay.
What is it about and what do you have in it?
Oh my God. Wow, I've never been asked this question before. Um, Probably I would start maybe with more like I wish that I could take the thoughts that go in my mind and put it out there into the museum so people kind of see kind of it would be more like because if you're entering my museum, I'm saying this is the mental museum, and you get to see like I would like to have and it would be interesting to see like different versions of me, but you would see them like personified. That's how
Okay.
my museum would be. I don't know if there would be like a highlight of it, but that's kind of what you would see.
The Matrix Museum of the Mind.
Yeah, I
There
like
you
it.
go. I dig
I like
that. I
that.
like that answer.
Yeah.
Um, Here's a crazy one. Would you rather be a giant hamster or a tiny elephant?
I think a tiny elephant because see the elephants like some of the traits that an elephant has, I really do kind of resonate with. I think yeah, fine, I'm smaller, but I think I still have those traits, right? So
Absolutely. Plus, I
and they
mean,
have great memory.
let's just be honest. Girls would love tiny animals. You know, like if there's a tiny little elephant, all the ladies would be like, "Oh, it's so cute."
Yeah, that's true. And elephants have great memory. So you know,
And community. They have
yep.
great community. They have a lot of loyalty, and they're super dangerous. I imagine even a tiny one you still wouldn't want to mess with.
Oh yeah,
You
for
know,
sure.
um, if
Because
you
even the
could.
tiny ones are like 6 feet tall.
Well, when I say tiny, because you're thinking a giant hamster, so I'm
Like a big
imagining
one.
like an elephant that's like not hamster size, but definitely like towards that size.
Okay, so maybe like a dog size. We'll see.
Sure,
Yeah, it's still an elephant.
it's a dogaphant.
Yeah, yeah, it could be a pet.
There you go. That's what I'm
So
saying.
yeah.
If you could instantly know everything about one subject, what would you pick?
Uh, I was about to say molecular biology, but that's because my sister's studying it. But no, one particular subject. Um, hmm. I mean, if I knew everything about math, I probably would have done a lot better in school. That's one thing. Maybe history because I actually do like history. History is something sometimes I get fascinated by some of these things. Like I'm actually watching a series on HBO Max called John Adams, which came out in 2008 with Paul Giamatti as John Adams. And it's really cool to see like the kind of person he was. But Yeah, but I think history just I just want to. I like to learn. I like stories. I like to learn about people. I like to learn about different events. So yeah, if I knew, I would love to be a I think the true history buff for sure.
I love that answer. Knowledge is power too, and I feel like it is very true when people say history constantly repeats itself.
It does.
So if you understand everything about history, you'll also understand a lot of the things happening in our world and what'll happen in the future.
Yep.
So little known fact, my minor, the most classes that I took in college outside of my major was history classes.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah. Um, we talked a lot about music. What is one song that will instantly put you in a good mood?
It's it's gonna be it's a song called Coco by Siamese Youth.
Okay. Can I get a little bit of it? I don't know. I'm not familiar with this song.
It's like it's I can't sing it. It's a synthwave song.
Oh, okay, okay.
But well, I mean, it
So
has vocals, but yeah.
is it super like upbeat? Like what's the just give me the vibe. Give me the
This
general
is
like
super. It is very upbeat, and I almost feel like when I listen to it, like when I'm driving, I feel like I'm in like kind of like in a cyberpunk kind of a future, and like I'm like the skies are bright, and you see like the sun, like how it's got that like pinkish orange hue, and you're in your little like whatever the vehicles will be called, like whatever. I always thinking Jetsons because like the flying cars, you in your little flying car, you just cruising across the sky, like the crimson sky or the coral sky, and you just soaking in the atmosphere.
I love the descriptive nature of that. I'm so glad I asked for more like in-depth, response to that because you gave like a perfect example. I
Yeah.
could like feel it.
Oh, good,
Um,
good.
so that's cool. So we're gonna get into a question that I feel like is very important to me because I think it's good to have self-reflection. It's kind of cool throughout this. There's been little items where you'll say something, and I'm like, oh, I resonate with this. I have a
Yeah,
similar thing that we connect, and I think that's why we need to have these conversations as people in general.
absolutely. Yeah.
But what would you say is the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
It would be always show gratitude. That's been a big thing, and I've tried to practice that as much as I can. Like every morning when I make my bed. Yes, I do make my bed. Please, if you don't, start doing it. But no, every morning when I make my bed, I think about or say out loud three things I'm grateful for. So I try to do that every day. So
It's a
that's one
great
thing.
affirmation. It's very good to like, it's a very good mindfulness exercise.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I dig that. And then, of course, our last question that I have for you is the one we talked about in the very beginning. If there was a person that you can think of offhand, ideally it would be someone maybe you know, maybe that I don't know, that you think would be interested in doing the podcast and an interesting person. If not, just a person that you think would be interesting for me to interview.
Well, a couple of names come to mind. If someone you don't know, actually, my buddy Tim Farley, I would love to see you interview him because he has his own stories that I think he would love to tell. But as far as someone that we do know, I did mention them earlier, but Heel Kevin, I would love to see that as well.
He will be on eventually. So those of you who don't know, Heel Kevin is a content creator on TikTok. He also does Twitch, YouTube. He's all over. He's been a friend of mine for many years. He was one of the people when I was relaunching this podcast or rebranding it and creating what it has become. He was one of the first people I reached out to. Eventually, he will be on. So I will be doing that. And then as far as your other friend, I'm down. If we can create a connection there and I could
Yeah.
potentially get them on the show, I'd completely be down. The whole thing about this is I want to be able to, just meet all kinds of people that I don't know. Like everybody's just so interesting. Everybody's got these little unique, idiosyncrasies and
Yeah.
just like these unique pieces that makes us all so just like interesting,
Yeah.
you know?
I agree. I
And
agree.
that's what this whole thing's about. And so I appreciate you so much for doing this.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
because Well, it's, I feel, again, we've known each other for years. We've talked how many times, and I really feel like I got a chance to kind of understand you at a better level. And I just really appreciate you coming on and being open and having these discussions. I would love to have you on again in the future so we can kind of
Oh,
deep
definitely,
dive, because
definitely.
we didn't even get into a lot of the things I want to talk about. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
but I'm very
I'm
excited for
down, man.
that.
I'm
If
down.
y'all
Let's do
don't
it.
know, Sid is also going to be a part of our content team we're creating, which is View Count. So we will have some other podcasts that are launching. He'll also be guesting on some other things we'll be doing. We'll be collaborating on content as well. I will have his information down in the links here below, so you'll be able to go find his TikTok, his YouTube, anything else. Is there anything you want to shout out or get people directed to before we close out here?
Um, no, I think I'm good. That's it. That's all I gotta say. Shout out to.
Any parting words or advice? Is there anything you want to say to the people?
I would say, don't let your past define your future or define your present, because you learn from the past and you incorporate the lessons that you learn and you make the present that much better, and in turn your future will be that much better.
Love it. Very wise, brother. Again, I appreciate you so much for this. And hopefully, everybody enjoyed this. Let us know in the comments what you guys thought. Let me know who you would like to see me have on G2 Kappa, and also questions you want me to ask it for the next time he's on, because he absolutely will be. Thank you guys for watching. We're going to be dropping 2 episodes per week. So make sure you're checking out the YouTube channel or Spotify, however you're watching it. And we'll see you next time. Thanks,
Thank
guys.